With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced Sim Racing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-Box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware. And that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
It is championship week in the Precision Racing League, and today the Thursday night Formula 3 series will crown its two champions. Yes, for one, it is a coronation, but for another, there is a battle still left to be won. Hello everyone, and welcome to RaceSpotTV, and welcome to the final round of the 2022 Season 3 Precision Racing League Formula 3 series. Live on RaceSpotTV and on VCO Esports, my name is Arjuna Kankipati, alongside in the RaceSpotTV commentary booth is the one and only Lorenzo Bonder. And Lorenzo, I am delighted for my very first Precision Racing League experience. I have been watching on from the sidelines, jealous with envy, as so many of our RaceSpot commentators have seen some great racing action, and today I have no doubts we are in for a thriller, because the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta is an up and down roller coaster that has delivered, and with the compromise in setup, we know we're in for a fun race to close out the campaign.
Oh yeah, you kind of stole my line here, Arjuna, because I was going to say that compromise in the setup is what makes this track kind of interesting, more so than the other tracks. Like, I think the closest thing we saw in this compromise was Spa-Francorchamps, which is kind of interesting, seeing the dynamic of high downforce to low downforce. So this compromise is going to make racing more interesting when you come down to the final straight, leading to the final chicane, which is going to be providing great racing.
We really have been around the world, starting in Japan for 2 rounds, then over to America, then England, then Austria, then to the land down under, back over to Belgium for a couple of rounds, Canada, and now this final round. And what a season it has been, but of course, with 2 classes of competition, this Formula 3 series will always have different places that you need to keep your eye on. The pro drivers, determined based at the sign-ups at the start of the season, they're classified into the pro category. The AM drivers, a minimum of 1,000 I rating. However, They are just as fast and can push their way forward. Do not discount the quality of a good AM driver. Dallara Formula 3, it is a international staple around the world with open setups and a 50% fuel capacity, which means we will see pit stops in these time-limited 40-minute race. However, before we get to the race, it is go fast time with a 30-minute open qualify session, and in this F3 car, you know it will be a slipstream affair. Incident limits to talk about, a drive-through at 13x, disqualification at 17x. We'll talk more about that as we work through the course of the long qualifying session. Let's start though with a rundown through the pro standings, and as I mentioned at the top, it's a coronation for one driver. Conor Wagner not going to be racing today, but he has already locked up this championship with 8 wins in 9 rounds. It does not get more dominant than that.
Yeah, Conor basically dominated the last few rounds, basically winning every single round and never looked back. And it was basically 7 rounds in a row, basically winning. So Arjuna, I think he kind of earned his rest this week, to say the very least.
Fair.
So it's going to be interesting to see this definition of the top 3, because Patri's in there, Campbell's in there, I think Klinar is in there as well. So it's this dynamic of who's going to make it in the top 3 is going to be really interesting.
Drivers allowed to drop a couple of rounds, and the rounds that Wagner will drop will be the lowest rounds. One of them being 30 points plus. What a season it's been. Patrick going to look to sign off as well with a good run. Campbell was quick in practice, will look to fly his way forward in qualifying. Let's talk to you about the AM standings though, and this is where, for Ryan Purcell, it's all about staying on the road. If Purcell finishes the race and classifies himself at the end of the 40 minutes, he will walk away the champion. The pressure is on Takeshi Kita to try and force Purcell into a mistake.
Yeah, and I think luckily for Kita, getting a good result back in Montreal in a track that you could see he struggled quite a lot early on. I think picked up towards the middle of the race, and even though he had about a top 6 result, it wasn't enough to try to get much closer towards Ryan Purcell at the end of the day. But in a track like this, Road Atlanta, it's such an incognito that things can turn around immediately.
We'll talk more about the track in a second. So much experience of broadcasting, still forget to unmute my mic when I'm ready to go talking. It's been a great season for the Hardpoint by Delta Sport team. Don't know how many of their drivers will see in action today. It's of course Conor Wagner not racing, but Atomic Racing Proton trying to solidify second in front of TQ Engineering, with a big gap then back to the Indy Autosport and Ace Racing team battle. With not much separation to TQE and Precision Racing Esports. Plenty of excitement to talk about when it comes to this team championship, when it comes to the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. I love this track, one of my top 5 favorite in the world. However, it is one of the more fearsome tracks when it comes to its real-world nature. Not much runoff area, and high-speed, low-speed corners, it's got it all. And in these Formula 3 open-wheel machines, it will be the turn 7, tighter than 90-degree corner that builds you onto the back straightaway, that will serve as the opportunity to build into the best of the passing opportunities, Lorenzo.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the track and the car fits like a glove, in my opinion. I think I've said many times, it's not one of my favorites because it is kind of hard to track for you to master, but once you get the hang of it, it is really good for you to drive. But for the F3s, it's such a pleasure drive, but the only thing they have to be mindful, curbing here kills. I think other than any other track, the high curbs is the thing that kills this car and the entire momentum. So they have to be mindful, especially during the entry to the long straight, where the car can step out on its rear. And with these F3s, especially on low gearing, whenever you re-accelerate, you can basically go for a slide and lose just so much time that you might not be able to make it back.
Look at that run down out of the chicane into the final corner. 80 feet of a plunge. It is a drop. This track known, of course, for that elevation change that will confuse and delight in equal measure. But as we get ready to talk to you about the on-track action, we get ready to thank those that make all of this possible, starting with our friends at VCO. VCO are driving sim racing forward, whether it be blurring the lines between virtual and reality with the VCO Pro Sim Series, or pushing esports racing forward with the VCO Esports Racing League. You can catch up with all things VCO, with all things sim racing, in the print magazine for the digital world. Check out VCO Send It on social media. and Advanced Sim Racing, owned and operated by passionate sim racers. Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminium profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All Precision Racing League members also get a 5% discount code on ASR products using the Precision5 coupon code. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. Butt kicker products and incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Ready to compete against the financial markets, supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Lorenzo, as we build for qualifying, this is where you will play some games, trying to find some draft, trying to work your way forward. And at a track as tricky as this, I'm a little bit shocked maybe that the top three split by less than a tenth of a second, but still 20 minutes to go in this open qualifying session.
Yeah, and what I'd like to see as well is that the Buktal and Kita not separated too far apart as well. It's about a tenth of a second. Tenth of a second is literally nothing in this track, especially if you get a good draft and you get a clean run in it. So it's going to be a very interesting qualifying, for especially for the AMs, in my opinion, Arjuna, because, for example, Nick McLaughlin is in third, and this is a golden opportunity because I don't see Turner Stroh in the track, and he is his direct competition going for the top three standings in the AM class.
There's lots to fight for, and of course, these drivers will get a couple of weeks off. A new iRacing build will be dropped for all to be delighted with in a couple of weeks' time. Who knows what surprises the team has in store for us. In terms of qualifying, as it stands right now, you have to go all the way back to 10th position to find a gap that is larger than a tenth of a second. We know we will be in for a treat. Kevin Sandiego tracking well as he works into turn 6. Cambered in, but then you get to turn 7. It's always such a tricky corner. It's only once you realize it is more than 90 degrees that you can really maximize your exit and power onto the back straight.
Yeah, and you have to carry that speed, so that's why it makes it tricky, not just the first leg, but the second leg. You can even see Kevin Sandiego transitioning into the right-hand corner and kind of losing the back end on the transition from the first leg to the second leg of the hairpin. Now, look at Joey Tebben. Okay, he came to play.
RaceSpot's own, who's got to win this season, jumps to the top of the AM board, 6th provisionally. Where will Sandiego place? Lost a bit of time maybe through the chicane complex with a 1:14.039. He will not improve. We'll try and build again. And these cars, Lorenzo, what are we doing in terms of tires in qualifying? We coming to pit road, we're going to throw some fresh boots on the car, or are we staying out there? Are we doing 5, 6, 7 lap runs and just trying to burn off some fuel and get to the best of the tires?
I would say do 5, 6 laps because this is a track that doesn't consume way too much in terms of tires, even though you have these left hand turns, and it all coming one after the other, and it's kind of like too quick to think, but it doesn't consume too much on the tires. The only problem becomes really the braking into the final chicane, into the chicane that leads into turn number 12. So you have to get that on point, otherwise you're basically gone. So you can go for the 5 runs, and then after you're done with that fast lap, when the tires build up, then you can reset.
Here comes Tyler Campbell, fast in qualifying. Practice rather, was fastest of them all. Stays 5th for the time being, with a marginal improvement, less than a tenth of a second quicker, but that lap time invalidated as Kevin Sandiego on the next lap will find some more time as he goes up to 1st in qualifying.
Good result, and I think after Kevin just had a little bit of a run off going to turn number 3, he deserves a good result. You know, was doing very solid on Montreal. I think that was his best result in the season so far for him. So he deserves to try to follow up on that really good result he has so far. So all learned for him that P1.
You always want to sign off a campaign on a good note. Leaves you with some confidence as you head into the off-season. There's the crowd that's supporting the one and only Tyler Campbell as he works into turn 10A and turn B. Such a crucial complex to cut the chicane and power yourself up the hill and then down towards that final corner. No pit entry on the right side. We'll see plenty of pit stops in the race. It's not the easiest place to get down onto the lane in a safe fashion. Campbell will now rise to the top with a 1:13.349, more than a tenth quicker than San Diego that lap before.
Yeah, that is quite impressive to see, and look at the commitment of the car just going off track. He obviously got an off-track incident during the transition of turn number 3 to 4, but anyway, this is a track I think you know pretty much, Arjuna, because you love this track so much. It demands commitment. You have to stay committed in every single corner that you do. Of course, you have to commit in every single corner in any track, but I think Road Atlanta takes that thing into an extra level, doesn't it?
Michael Overbay will loop it at turn 7, trying to get the power down, maybe running a little bit too much onto the curbing on the outside of the track, and you talk about commitment. Overbay trying to work himself forward from 5th. Patry will come to the line in the 598 machine. The 1:13.583 will improve, put his best lap time in, but stays where he is for the time being. Nick McLaughlin, another driver looking to sign off on a good note, works into the chicane, slides that car with a bit of a lockup as well. Can really throw these beasts around. They're light and nimble, very much a step up on the open wheel ladder. Here comes the 62 to the line as he tries to go faster with a 1:13.972. He will find some time and works his way forward in the qualifying order, but immediately Manuel Vargas finds some more time.
Yeah, and look at the difference, just 0.004 of a second, so it's ridiculously close. And for Kita to Vargas is 0.16 of a second, and now Vargas not intentional but good 360 no spin.
Yeah, love
no
it.
Scope.
He manages to get it stopped down, but now, of course, will reset. Campbell is tracking quite well as the 56 will jump up into the top 5. The times are starting to tumble, maybe as the rubber gets dropped. It's picking up a little bit. Behind Campbell, car almost running itself off into the dirt, excuse me. We are seeing the level of commitment rising as we wind to the final stages of qualifying. I always find it interesting in sim racing, Lorenzo, that you have to get in the qualifying groove and then immediately flip the switch and get ready to go racing. Whereas in the real world, a lot of the time, you get a full day, you get to sleep and build for the difference that a race feels like mentally compared to the all-out mental focus that is a qualifying session.
Yeah, and for drivers like this, the good thing for them is that they kind of know how to take on this track because it is based upon the official weeks in iRacing. So they've probably done officials, try to trim the setup to the best of their capabilities and to be more comfortable towards their driving style. So that's why it makes it really interesting to come over here and try to expose that. How does your training on the entire week has gone, right? But this transition from going to qualifying to racing is kind of complicated. Not too many people know how to do both. We've seen even at the Porsche Esports Super Cup people that are not great qualifiers but are very good in racing.
Campbell was looking okay until he exited turn 7. Decided that it was better to return to pit lane. Swindell's up to 13th as we see Patry getting swapped around on the run down into the chicane. 40-minute races may be a little bit longer than these cars traditionally would run, but I like it, especially with the 50% fuel window, Lorenzo. It requires you to come down to pit lane, requires you to really be a well-rounded driver rather than just being able to go on the offense and sprint away at the front.
Yeah, I do like this format as well. It resembles a little bit what we saw the VCO Infinity, doesn't it? Because we saw the F3s being run at the VCO Infinity, and those were 60-minute races. So having this strategy aspect of, coming in, then try to strategize, maybe save fuel, and especially in a track like this where you can save lots and lots of fuel, makes the undercut and overcut kind of interesting. And Campbell took a little bit of a ride again.
Yeah, I guess when you're a 10th up, you feel confident in qualifying, but Tyler Campbell went for a ride here at the roller coaster that is Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. I believe it happened at turn 5. Let's dial up the replay and let's see it here. Commits. Looks okay. Loops it on power. Nasty crash.
Yeah, thank God that is virtual, not real life. Real life, that would have been about how much in debit? 50,000 debit at least?
Yeah, let's not think about the costs of all of our crashes over the years. You could just see that curb is going to be so dangerous. You mentioned it before, Lorenzo. Why is it so dangerous? It's not just the fact that it's crested over the middle of it, it's the fact that it's quite high as well.
Yeah, and if there's one thing we've learned, that open wheel cars, they do not take these high curbings way too well. So once it bounces back into the floor, especially this transition for turn number 2, the car, if it once it bottoms out and you completely lose control in the transition, so you have to be very conscious of where you go and how early do you accelerate to try to keep the stability in the car.
And you'll note something already on the front wing of Caleb Patri's machine as he winds himself out just a little bit. Break out our handy dandy yellow pen tool. This,
nice.
That is damage. And I think
he only realized it.
Yeah, I think he might finally have just realized that he is down on there. We'll get the yellow pen away. Finally, I can figure out how to pull it aside as well. We're all still trying to figure out stuff as Patry maybe will take this opportunity to run himself onto pit lane and practice a pit road entry. Kita is committed as he knows the only thing he can do today is push to the max.
Yeah, and being right behind Ryan Puchtel right now, it's not the best position. You want to be in front of Puchtel, and you have to trim down 2/10 of a second in less than 9 minutes and a half. Seems simple, but it's not. In a track like Road Atlanta, I think it is probably one of the worst tracks for you to extract that time because you can lose so much time, especially in this transition again to the long straight.
If you don't have the time already is where it becomes difficult. You need to understand where you've lost the time, because I agree, making the adjustments on the fly, especially here, easier said than done. He's looking quite good on this lap though, so we'll track him in the 64 down the hill. Tidy through the left, tidy through the right. Tebben will jump up to 4th. Kita will loop it and stay out of the wall somehow, but while Kita struggles, it is Tebben that is roaring as the fastest AM in qualifying.
Oh, Joey, what a win doesn't do to a man's confidence, right? Kind of was struggling a little bit this season, but also knocking on the door of good results for Joey. So I think after he got the win in the AM class in Montreal, yeah, just not like that, Joey, please.
Yeah, it's okay, Lorenzo. I'm coming off a broadcast where I literally was cursing people left, right, and center, trying to steal your title as the king of the commentators' curse. Here comes Puchel in the 93 with a 1:13.570. That will see an improvement for him. Good enough to climb to 7th overall. Still stays 2nd in AM, but now puts 4/10 between him and Kita in time.
Not only that, it puts now 4 cars in between him and Takeshi Kita, because there is no differentiation of AM class starting, on their own grid and the pro class starting on their own grid, separate grids for each car. It's all one car, so, having that separation makes it a little bit more complicated for Kita to start running and then have to pick up the pace and make the overtakes necessary. And
it's not such a concern today because we only have the 22 in the field. However, the more cars you have at Road Atlanta in a standing start situation, you'll see. Yeah, you'll see it as we come into the final complex of corners here. So, as the 7 rides us through the chicane and underneath the Fox Factory Bridge, you'll see. This is where the grid slots are kind of going to start, because right there, here, is where the start-finish line is. It's a fun one. It's a conundrum.
Yeah.
We'll see how it plays out, because there's only 6 minutes and 46 seconds left in the qualifying session. And, of course, when the checkered flag flies, drivers are allowed to finish the lap that they're on. So it will be about making sure you built for that final pressure cook situation to put it on the board. no real improvement trending, at least for the time being. McLaughlin in the 62 machine winds his way through the opening sector. There are plenty of passing opportunities here, Lorenzo, but it's going to be taking advantage of mistakes where you find spots.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And here spots are plenty depending on how much pressure you try to put up on one driver. For example, going out to turn number 5 where Nick just went through, if you feel the pressure, you catch the curb the wrong way and you try to re-accelerate. And even here at the exit of turn number 7, actually turn number 8 and 9, you can actually lose a lot of time by just riding on that curb on the outside. So it's those optimizations of track usage. Of course, we always got to say you got to maximize the track usage, but how much track can you use in a track like this?
And you heard it on the back straightaway as well, at least I hope you did. The car is hitting the ground. It is grounding. There is only so much that you can do about that. It's similar to what Mercedes is dealing with in Formula 1 with its porpoising, but you raise the car to avoid the grounding, you lose aerodynamic performance, and as, well, that's an absolute mockery of turn 1. McLaughlin will rip the wheels off the front of his machine and try and build for the final 5 minutes of the session. Tevin looking good as he flies into turn 6, but to go back to the point that I've already forgotten that I was making, that monumental shot, I do love the iRacing new damage model, Lorenzo. It looks spectacular when you go for it, when you truly send it into a wall.
Yeah, the only thing I really don't like is the whenever you race in the F3s, because sometimes in the F3s back in the early days, right, any crash that you had in the car was basically a race ending damage. Even if you had minor contact, you probably the side pod would actually eventually come off, or a wheel would eventually come off, or your suspension was damaged and you could not repair it appropriately. So I think the fine-tunings they did on the damage model, especially for the F3s, make this car thing a little bit more exciting to race, and despite the aggressiveness that is known on the F3 field on the officials.
And we have a new Formula open wheel car, of course, in iRacing, the iRacing IR04. Formula 4 spec machine that the Precision Racing League also runs on Thursdays, albeit non-broadcast, kind of as a feeder beginner open wheel series. If that's more your interest, do head over to precisionracingleague.com to learn more. San Diego unable to improve. No real improvements in lap time, despite the fact that if we check in with your weather conditions, it is only going to get cooler as we wind to the end of this qualifying session.
Yeah, 80 Celsius, 80 Fahrenheit on track is a slightly cool track. You know, we can try to see it dip a little bit in terms of temperature, and we know that whenever it dips the temperature, it becomes the track becomes eventually faster. So it's going to be an interesting race, but the challenge will try to build up the heat in the tires in a cool track like this.
Overbay improves, but by about 1/100 of a second, and sometimes that is so frustrating when you improve, yes, but so insignificantly that you don't really close on those in front. Overbay still a tenth and a bit behind Buchel in front. 2 AM cars inside of your front 4 rows as it tracks right now with less than 3 minutes left to play in this qualifying session. Will Tebben be able to improve as he really throws the car into turn number 3? We said these cars were nimble. That doesn't mean you can get away with being too scruffy behind the wheel.
No, if there's one thing that this car punishes you is you try to be overly aggressive. You know, you just try to flick the car into a corner and think the car is going to give you grip. Oh, it's not like that. If the tire has the grip, you eventually will give you the grip if you try to flick it. But in a situation like this, if you're within the first few laps, it never works. It's precision driving at its best.
So, for Michael Overbay, will it be this lap that he improves? It's a 1:13.7. No, we'll ride on board with Overbay here at the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta into turn 1. Maximum commitment, stays in 6th gear, just lifts off up the hill, will shift down to get back into the rev range, and using the curbs as much as you dare, Overbay throws it into the S's, plunging down the hill. Oh, it's so rewarding a feeling when you get it right, but you set up for turn 5, a dab on the brakes in 4th gear. Overbay confident, willing to use the curbs, A moment after, Lucio Vargas threw it into the tyre walls on the exit of the corner. Into turn 6, cambered in, so throw the car into the corner, but turn 7, get it slowed down in time because you want to get it turned in early, stomp onto the power, and build to the back straightaway. Patry will jump to the top of the board, 200ths quicker than Tyler Campbell. We do have a battle brewing in qualifying with the final laps ready to be commenced. Overbay, with 56 seconds so far done in his lap, takes that final opportunity to breathe, plunges down the hill onto the brakes. Look at how much curb he used through the initial part of the corner, maybe slid a bit wide through the second part, and will bail immediately. That will be Overbay's qualifying, done and dusted. What a tricky track it is. Here is Tyler Campbell trying to steal pole back in the dying depths of qualifying.
Now the question, where can he improve? Because Patry done his part, you know, done a really fast lap and try to put a 2100s of a second on Tyler Campbell. 2100 seems a little bit, and you can kind of extract, but it's not easy. And I think, if I'm doing my calculations, he's gonna cross that line as times runs out. So I don't think he's gonna get another shot at this.
I think this is done for him as well.
Yeah, done.
10 seconds to go. This is it. In the season, the final chance in qualifying. And Tyler Campbell find 200ths of a second. It is that fine in this qualifying session. He's got his crowd behind him as he builds down the hill. A car wrecks in pit lane for Tyler Campbell, running to the line. It's a 1/10.5 slower than his best. He does not improve. He will start in second spot. Leo Lung also across the line with no improvement for him. Will leave just Brian Lowe in the 43 car, our final car, to come across the line to close out the qualifying session, Lorenzo.
Yeah, in a very close qualifying session. I think one of the closest this season. Well, of course, it is one of the shortest track, but not only that, is a very fast track that everybody's going to be close. I cannot wait for the race to come really soon.
So the margin, 200ths between the two on the front row. Behind them, the margin's equally fine. 6th and 7th split by 6,000ths of a second. 40 seconds left before the drivers will grid up and get ready to battle for the final time this season. Lorenzo, what are your expectations as we get ready to get underway?
Oh, it's going to be one of the most frantic lap ones, especially with that approach to turn number 1, 2, and 3. So drivers need to be very mindful of how to funnel those cars and try to pick up your battles appropriately into the first few laps and then just run the course. Mind the draft, and the draft is strong over here. So it's going to be an exciting race to come in a little bit.
5 seconds, give me a prediction.
Well, I'm going to put Tyler Campbell in P1 in the pros, and I think this is going to be Tebben's day. I'm going to put the curse on him.
So, will the Lorenzo Bonder curse be thrown onto two drivers who have battled well in qualifying, or will they taste the joy of victory to close out 2022 and Season 3 in the Precision Racing League Thursday night Formula 3 Championship? We're ready to get underway, and to crown a champion, it is time to build up with the one and only song you can celebrate esports with. It's time for Silver Scrapes. And it is pole position number 1 of the season for the 598, who will battle side by side with Tyler Campbell, both drivers searching for win number 1 of the season. Kevin San Diego and the TQ Engineering entry, the 56, will line up on row 2 with Joseph Tebben, the best of the AMs, in 5th, with a great qualifying lap time from him, the 66 to his right-hand side. Ryan Buchel looking to secure the championship today from 7th, with Michael Overbay alongside. Leo Lung and Nick McLaughlin round out the top 10, with Richard Swindales and Takeshi Kita the top 12. Kita's with some work to do, has to put the pressure on Buchel and make sure he comes into some struggles. Vargas Santana, Ammon Pro on row 7, with Miller and Shabili behind them. Potvin and Lowe will share row number 9. McDonald, Cato, Newhook and Vargas will complete the top 22. And Lorenzo's standing starts at Road Atlanta are always filled with danger and fraught with chaos.
Yeah, especially for F3 cars, open wheels is just probably one of the worst things you can wish for, and especially at the back, because you have that thing that you don't know where you're gonna be leading towards after turn number 1, and so many cars in front of you. You might have a big one, you might not have a big one. Let's see.
Well, we're underway for the final time this season at the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. It's a great start from Tyler Campbell, straight into the lead of the race as they climb up the hill. Off into the grass goes Nick McLaughlin, but into turn 3 they funnel, and starting to single file itself out. Spinning in front of the field and causing some danger is Giori, but they'll get through safely. And we expected chaos, we expected danger. It's Tyler Campbell that has converted to the lead of the race.
Wow, and everybody just getting unscathed after what happened to McLaughlin and Giori, so kind of impressed to see that. And now we're going to get some good racing. Let's see the draft working.
The first lap of 31 estimated in a 40-minute sprint. 1 pit stop, of course, expected. Campbell with San Diego behind, Tebben taking advantage now. The best of the AMs up in 3rd spot, Puchel in 7th. Tebben with plenty of separation between him and the rest of those in his class. He will be looking to hang on for the class victory, maybe push for victory overall into the chicane. You expect plenty of side-by-side, but it's Tyler Campbell that will lead lap number 1 in front of Kevin San Diego, with Tebben, Negrete, Patry, and Overbay the top 6.
Yeah, and you can see Petrie just as going into the chicane, getting a little bit aggressive in an overbay, so managed to make the overtake. I think now Puchtel making the pressure on overbay going to turn number 1. So the AM class drivers know they can put the
cars
pressure
off
on. Oh no!
On the outside of turn 1, they're going to watch the rejoin. Got to be very tentative as you work your way through the hill, up through the hill. It was Brad Miller who's taking the toe back to pit lane. I'm already losing my voice. We've got plenty of replays to work our way through. Plenty of separation building as well throughout the entirety of the field. Poor Patry got swarmed on the race start. And now already 1 car in pit lane, but by no means is Miller the only one that's suffering, as Santana gets by on McDonald, and now potentially Lowe and Newhook trying to go through as well. Takeshi Kita 2nd in the AM Championship, wants 21st on the road.
Yeah, I really want to see. I was looking at that. What happened to Takeshi Kita? What kind of damage he possibly have gotten, or what kind of mistake he possibly have done? So, not the worst start possible for the P2 in the AM class.
Several moments of side-by-side into the chicane. In front of these, it was Santana and Lowe that were going side-by-side. Vargas gets in front of Newhook as Tebben loses out into turn 1 in the battle for 3rd overall. Remember, AM class driver not fighting necessarily with those around him to close off the season. What a way it would be to end. Patry now looks to attack the 60. So much has gone on to start this race. Giori has retired as well. Now 2 of 22 back in pit lane and watching on from the sidelines.
Yeah, we saw happen to Giori into turn number 3 into lap number 1. We're gonna look at the replay later on, but Tebben, I think very smart what he's doing. You know, not battling with too much with the pros. He knows he has his own race, his own agenda. He has a good breakaway from Puchtel, Swindels, and Vargas, and he kind of doing the same thing he done to Montreal. Did not fight, just follow them, and it will be a big gain for him.
And it will help you save fuel as well. Will Tebben concede track position to Patry? No, he will not. Behind them, Overbay and Leung side by side into the chicane. Overbay will try and hold the outside on the exit of the corner, gives him momentum, gives him the power. And Overbay should be able to hold on to what is 6th on the road, but Leung is by no means done as they fight 3 wide for 3rd in front. Tebben will drop to 5th, but Patry on the offense thought about fighting straight away for 3rd.
I never thought I would see 3 wide in Road Atlanta with the F3s. Okay, I've been proven wrong. One more time.
These drivers are looking to close off with a bang. That is an understatement. Santana in front of Potvin. And let's start this circle of replays that I have no doubt we will spend plenty of time trying to work our way through by figuring out what happens on the race start. And you can see Patry just lights up the rears, smokes them, and before he's even into turn 1 is already down into what was 6th position. Then what happens though to Nick McLaughlin? He runs himself wide and almost into the tires, smacks into the wall. I think he got lucky and got away with that one.
Yeah, luckily for him, he didn't smash way too hard, and I think no suspension damage for him at the end of the day. But look at the run now. Gregory is going to get into turn number 2, transition to 3 side by side, just runs into the back of San Diego and loses on his own immediately.
I think it's fair to say self-inflicted mistake, that one.
Oh yeah.
Stings always just a little bit more. As we watch 11th, they battle again for 3rd. Patry in front now, and Negretta's. The 598 looks to make up for the mistake on the race start, but he's already 3.8 back from your race leader. He's got plenty of ground to try and make up. Richard Swindells has made a mistake at the exit of turn number 3. You can't take your eyes off this. There is something going on everywhere in Brazelton, Georgia.
Oh yeah, and we see that not only in F3s, we see that in Petit Le Mans, so there's always something happening in a track like this. Like it or not, I think it's probably it's like a unique track, not just for single make racing, but endurance racing as well. There's always something happening. There's always overtakes being done or fighting being done, so that's why this track is rather unique for many.
Yeah, and let's take a look at maybe why Takeshi Kita's championship chances have gone from slim to none, because into the chicane they went, and Brad Miller had a bit of contact with Kita that sent him wide and very much for a ride. And we'll just stick with this before we go back and look at more, because when you get checked up out of the chicane, it always leads to chaos.
Oh yeah, it is the worst kind of checkup you can get all around the track. And oh my god,
yep.
Going 3 wide on turn number 1.
That is why Brad Miller is out of this race, and I think he has every right to be aggrieved with that. Just look at this. Kita overcommits, and that's why he slides up and wide. But we'll grab another look at the, can we call it assassination of Brad Miller?
To say the very least.
So we'll try and make sure that we go the right way in terms of who we're looking at here. Believe it's going to be Max Shabili. And yeah, that is optimistic to say the very least.
Yeah, way too optimistic. Even up to the point that I think Shabili just completely botches the corner right after with the contact. If there's one thing in Road Atlanta with these cars, it's so complicated for you to make is the proper decision of when to go for the overtake. But if there's one thing I've learned with these cars, you don't go for a 3 wide on turn number 1 in Road Atlanta, even 2 wide.
Well,
even in Indy cars, they suffered enough.
Maybe there was a bit of karma, because for Shabili there was a subsequent moment, and I tell you what, he is so lucky to have not been absolutely massacred from behind.
Yeah, because you just get out of the corner and it's slightly blind. So for the other drivers, they did not see anything at the top of the crest.
Yeah, we're not getting great camera angles either because of where that one is, but oof, nervy moments, a bit of an understatement. 8 minutes done then as we work our way in towards the middle stages of this race. It is starting to settle down. As I say that, I think Guillermo Potvin has just now been turfed, potentially, alongside with Adam McDonald. Like I said, every time we think it's calming down, something else just seems to happen.
Yeah, and the one guy who's saying thank you very much for this is actually Nick McLaughlin, because he just cruised by both drivers as they were making contact, and now McLaughlin, after the mistake he has done, gone back into P7 in the category, just to confirm over here. But if we're going to look at the replay, what happened more
again, yeah, it's just overcommitment into turn 1, but it's the rejoin where you've always got to be careful. And I guess you can say 50-50. There's blame to be placed on both sides here in terms of leaving space, but clumsy, and I think McDonald's got every right to be a little bit frustrated with this one.
Yeah, I think McDonald just, he's slightly overcommitted, but I think it was reactionary overcommitment. You know, you see the car coming back, and you might not have the biggest experience, and you just kind of like get a little bit panicked going to the corner. You know, and that's why I think by overshooting, he kind of then shot himself in the leg of sorts. That's unfortunate. On board with Joseph Tebben in the number 60. Feels very weird calling him Joseph. He is Joey to me as he comes through turn 7. Really good performance from him. It says 1 on the bottom right portion of the screen. That's because he's the best of the AM drivers, but
great qualifying, and sometimes maybe there was an opportunity for Joey. No, please don't.
There, Joey.
Yeah, don't you dare do this to me, because that would have been the worst of the worst commentators' curses, because I haven't even finished the praise that I was giving on to Joey. So we're going to very swiftly turn away from Joey and focus on the 7 behind him that is closing and trying to make the pass happen.
Which is Leo Lung, trying to have one of his best results in the season. I think he got 3rd place into round number 7. But then again, it just cannot replicate really good results. With, if I remember correctly, that round number 7 was a spout round, which was one of the rounds he was actually feeling really comfortable going around the track. So, so getting that really good result, I think, gave him a little bit of a boost, but cannot replicate on the other ones. I think he didn't even participate in the previous round of Montreal. So let's see how the number 7 will fare around the track as Kevin Santana moved up one spot on Vargas.
And in terms of these pro category drivers, it's hard to complain about a season when one man wins 8 of 9 races coming into tonight and is top 5 in every race that he runs in, pole in 6 of them, fastest lap in 5 of them. And the fact is, he still wins the championship coming into tonight by 2 races with 15 penalty points. It was that dominant of a season. Here's a move to the inside from Leung into the chicane. Again, Tebben not fighting too hard, but Leung leaves the door open, and Tebben says, well, if you're going to leave it open, I'll think about it. Thinks better of it. Intelligence from the AM driver, who is, unfortunately, though, starting to see Puchel close, as the 93 car is now only 1.9 seconds away from your AM class leader.
Yeah, and that movement from Leung going to the chicane, I think, didn't do any favors for Tebben right there, because you lose, I think, right about half a second to a full second, depending on how badly you actually push it in the corner, as McLaughlin now moves into P6 in the AM class, and you try to recover that time lost. How do you recover the time lost, especially with Puchel not far behind you, and he's trying to seal the deal in this championship this round? Well, he has to seal the deal.
Hey, I'm just saying, I love Joey, but his car doesn't have VCO and RaceSpot logos on it.
Oh,
so
agreed.
yeah, I'm cheering. I know who I'm cheering for now for the rest of these 28 odd minutes. Sorry, Joey. We'll see how things will play out at the very end of the race. I have no doubt we will be talking to him at the end of the race. Kita gets in front of Adam McDonald into turn 6. This is, for the most part, academic, unfortunately, for Takeshi Kita, who came into tonight knowing that if he pushed Puchel into a mistake, it would give him the opportunity to fight. Leo Leung has lost it on the exit of the chicane. Not for the first time we've seen this mistake. Joey Tebben is back up into 5th.
Yeah, and we actually got a moment to take a little bit of a read on what was on Leung's back wing, saying that if you're reading this, then you're too close. And for this once, we were too close.
We were too close. Leung is now off the road, and behind him, Swindells for the 2nd time today overcommits. Goes from bad to worse, as now Lowe will come around and fly his way into turn number 3. Leung able to hold him off, but the space of a couple of corners does indeed go from bad to worse. Let's pick up the replay, and yeah, on the grass again. Rather lucky that he doesn't get into the wall. If you can read this, you are too close. And then track it from here, Lorenzo, and track the chaos and the mayhem into turn 1.
Yeah, everybody coming like a rocket, and you're just picking up speed, and what can you do, right? And stay to the inside, and another 3 wide incident funnels into 2, but I think, all right, I'm gonna say this, I think Leung just tried over the fence too much.
Okay, we will jump on board with him here. At that point, you'd argue, was he better just giving up the corner? Swindells followed him into a sympathy trip into the grass. Now, Kevin Santana makes a mistake. We'll see Manuel Vargas close up on him. Vargas has had a very impressive race so far. He's +3. Brian Lowe's +5. Lucio Vargas +6. He's been one of the prime recipients of positions through chaos. 66 Machine has been content to ride in the footsteps of Petrie for the time being, but as they fight for 3rd, they are yet to close on the 2 at the front of the field. Campbell, though, last time by, lost just over 0.2 of a second. The gap for the lead is down to 1.2 and closing.
Yeah, and the one thing that Campo really doesn't want to have is Kevin San Diego with the second gap going on the long straight and breathing down his neck. As you can see, the crowd very excited and looking towards the car itself going around the corner. But yeah, it's the worst feeling in a track that the 1 second is literally nothing for these cars. You can gain about 0.3 of a second by being 1 second, so you go by 0.6 of a second going to the corner. Sounds confusing, I know, people, but car mathematics are just like this.
I want to complain about the size of the face that Tyler Campbell is giving us of himself, but I know that if I do that, he will then just respond by making his face too big for the screen. So we'll see what happens next season, potential retaliation. Swindells will become the first to come down to pit lane and box, shows the tricky nature of pit entry. 1 pit stop expected for drivers. Now tires are going and going fast. I had a chat with a couple in the paddock before we went live and got underway. Lap 7 is when the car starts to get rather loose.
Yeah, because the car, well, you're losing fuel, and eventually you try to build up the grip in the car, and you're making so many fast transitions, and you're locking up brakes and things like that. So I think naturally the core of the tires becomes a little bit overheated depending how you drive the car. So I wouldn't be surprised if the cars are getting that loose now this part of the race, and you have to manage the laps and moving forward. So going for that undercut might work. Yeah,
the fuel window going to be about 20 laps or so, and we're on lap 14, at least for your race leaders, with Tyler Campbell already through turn 1. Does mean, though, of course, that within the next 6, expect someone to come to pit lane, and as you'll note in the bottom right of your screen, even though there is a spread through the field, with Swindells in the 16 already having pitted, by no means is it done, as Lucio Vargas will loop it on the exit of the chicane and becomes the first driver to run himself directly into the wall. As at the same time, Adam McDonald loops it at the final corner. We're not used to seeing cars go around there.
Yeah, I want to look at on the replay what happened to McDonald to loop it around on the final corner, unless he actually took up too much curbing on the exit of the final corner. Let's see what happened to Vargas first.
Yeah, so
It will be the
Vargas,
grass.
too much speed, in fact, before he even got to that point. And he was smashed. What happens then to McDonald after the fact? No cars are... Oh, he's done what I think we've all done in practice, maybe not done in a race. And unfortunately, it's going to be highlighted for everyone to see down the hill. It's a big drop. We mentioned it earlier, 80 feet, and it was the smallest amount of grass that McDonald collected. It was enough to send him for a loop.
And we know the true motto of for some drivers in iRacing, the grass is lava, so don't touch the grass. You're going to take a little bit of a spin as we see more drivers coming into the pit lane.
Manuel Vargas will roll to the lane with just under half this race done. The 52 from inside top 5 in class will now execute on pit lane. Yes, these cars have pit limiters, but by no means does that mean it is easy to make sure you maximize the time on pit lane. Tidy from Vargas into the box, not going up on the jack, so not taking tires, just 5 seconds worth of fuel. Nice and tidy from the 52. And the danger isn't done, you've got to work off the lane as well.
Yeah, but the good thing is these cars are not high powered as we've seen, for example, in the Indy cars that we comment on, right, Arjuna? If it is on the Indy car, depending on the gearing and how the car is in terms of tires, it can have a lot of wheel spin and the car can spin around. Trust me, it happened to me. So, with that being said, I think for these that are more safe for you to get out.
The danger on pit exit is the merge. If one driver pits a lap earlier, it is going to be a fascinating duel as they climb into turn 3. I cannot wait to see how it will play out. San Diego being able to stabilize the gap at 1.2. Close enough to get a sniff of draft. Any closer, and he will be there. He will be hounding Tyler Campbell as we close off this 2022 Season 3 Thursday Night Formula 3 Championship. It's not just close here, it's close between Leo Lung and Brian Lowe. 9th and 10th positions, it's a pro driver versus an AM. And I said it at the start, Lorenzo, just because a driver is an AM driver does not mean they cannot duel it. And wheel it out on track.
Yeah, absolutely. You can, if you have the pace and everything, you can go for those positions. Point-wise will not affect you anything, but it will affect your ego and your confidence. You know, being able to overtake pros and everything. So it gives you a little bit of a boost. And,
Puchel, Ryan Puchel, is he having a technical issue?
Oh no.
Is this how he loses the championship? I can confirm there is something going on with his internet connection. Now, when you have disappeared from the world for this long, it's a concerning moment. However, I've seen drivers drop for longer and still be back in time. Puchel will also be cognizant of the fact that he has a drop round still left in hand.
Yeah, looking over here at he finished every single race.
Technical issue, he's out of the server. So now for Takeshi Kita, what can he do to maximize the points? The gap coming into tonight was 27 points. There is a point for fastest lap in class. There are bonus points for minimizing incidents, so there is plenty to work through in the championship equation, but it is now very much wide open. It is up in the air.
It is very up in the air, but I think it will demand that Kita needs to finish within the top 3, maybe second place at best, and then even then, I think he'd have to get the fastest lap of the race and probably the least amount of incidents. And he already has, I think, in my opinion, 2 or 3 incidents. First from that contact he had early on, and then a few off-track incidents he gained later on.
So as it stands right now for Puchel, if he gets back on track and is able to score some points, this might not be the drop round that he uses.
Will be round 1.
Yeah, no, it'll be round 2. Round 1 is already factored in as... no,
sure.
There is 1 drop round. Sorry, I've confused myself looking at this championship table. So Puchel has availed himself of a drop round, while Kita has not finished in 2 rounds.
Oh, what happened to McLaughlin?
What has happened to McLaughlin? We'll grab a look.
2 spots.
We'll grab a look at that. He's been off the track. Kato off of pit road as well, or into pit road, I should say, with Newhook behind him, both in the AM class. I think now we've got to try and figure out exactly the situation for Takeshi Kita as he sits 3rd, with McLaughlin's mistake promoting him into the podium spots.
And I'm going to be very honest with you, Arjun. I think if you're Kita, you pit right now. You cannot waste any single more second trying to be on track and, you know, go for that elongated time on track. And this is something I haven't seen for any driver around the track, even with these small draft trains. We haven't seen anybody clutch it out on the corner and Lifton Coast. Everybody just gunning for it.
Gap at the front is up to 1.6. Tyler Campbell doing well. 17 minutes left to play. McLaughlin just over-committing on the entry to the corner and running out wide, bumping over the crest, and Tyler Campbell smokes off of turn 5. I don't think that was for him. I think it was because Richard Swindell has had one too many incidents now and finds himself truly out of today's race.
Yeah, and it proves that this track, when it bites...
it bites hard.
It bites hard. It's a deadly bite.
Yeah, watch this. Ooh. And yeah, in front of your leaders as well. There goes Tyler Campbell. We'll jump on board. We'll look at the hands because there's only so much you can do when your wheels aren't on terra firma. Hard lick into the wall.
I don't know. Has he? It looks like he accelerated a little bit as we see McDonald now with the
Campbell
mistake.
to pit lane, and behind him, San Diego almost looped it. San Diego uber committed on pit entry. Able to slow down in time. Has he been able to close the gap as these two drivers execute a truly important pit stop cycle? Negrete will also follow them down into the lane as Joseph Tebben will stay out there on track. We said how tricky this pit entry can be. Watch on board with San Diego and watch the quick hands. It doesn't look that dramatic from that view, but it was a moment that almost ended his race. Back on track. The gap is under 1 second. A good cycle for Kevin San Diego.
I would say the gap would be right about a second or something like that. I estimated he cut down about 4/10 or 3/10 of a second into the entry and exit of the pit lane.
It was actually 2/10 longer from San Diego in the box itself. Speaks to the quality of the pit stop cycle from the number 88 machine. We jump on board with him. So he worked down the back straightaway as Caleb Patry will enter into pit lane from the lead of the race. What a great qualifying performance from him. Unfortunately, was unable to get it done at the start of the race and drops the clutch just a little bit too quickly. As Patry rolls to the box, Campbell San Diego already through the final corner. It will be a quick stop, of course, for that bright red machine, with Tebben and Overbay also down on the lane. Will he be close enough to fight? It doesn't seem as though Patry has lost some ground in the pit stop cycle. He is very much in no man's land, running down in third.
And now Campbell picking up the pace a little bit as well. So the gap that was about 1 second has extended to 1.2. So the number 37, good number by the way, actually picking up some pace after the pit stop and breaking away.
Crucially, sorry Lorenzo, crucially, Ryan Puchel is back on track. Yes, he is 3 laps down, but for the Florida native, for the 93 machine, all he might need to do to win this championship is put some points on the board. We're still trying to figure out the situation behind the scenes, but this is the fortitude that might win Puchel the AM Championship.
Oh yeah, never give up, and that's what you need to do. And he already knows that he can be cautious and just finish up the race because he's done his quota, he's done his part. And now we see this battle for P8 as Kevin Santana try to recover a few spots into the track, but having, I think, one of his best results in the season with that 666 car.
So if Puchel is scored down in, where is he right now? 8th position in class. Not really looking like he's going to be passing anyone unless attrition plays a part as well. But he finished 8th in class, he gets 23 points. That would not be a drop round. In my math, I think that's good enough for him to win the championship.
Same. Now, where does I was going to ask, where does Lowe come into the track? Because the gap is about 4 seconds between him and Kita.
San Diego has looped it on the exit of turn 7. Patry will scoop up second like a kid in the candy store, but pushing for the race lead. San Diego loops it, getting the power down.
Oh, and that's the danger of trying to get the power down. I mentioned this before the broadcast, haven't I, Arjuna? It's so tricky. And look who's behind. The Grad is coming for that top 3 spot.
Those tires will be screaming in pain after being lit up as San Diego tried to scramble to point it back in the right direction. We'll pick up the moment for the 88. On power down on the exit of turn 7. We mentioned that it's more than 90 degrees at the start of this show. It's a unique little corner that has caught out so many. Kevin San Diego is now added to that list.
And I wonder if he has any damage on the back, because he did have a little bit of a crash in the back. Doesn't look like it. He got away with that one.
Well, we'll find out soon, because if he has damage, the 66 will gladly take away the final podium spot in today's race. Under 12 minutes to go. Survival now going to be crucial for so many. One champion already crowned. What a season it was for your pro champion Conor Wagner for the Hardpoint by Delta Sport team. The AM Championship comes down to the wire for Ryan Puchel. The nerviest of moments that you could even script. He is back on track, 3 laps down. 11 minutes to survive to get to the end of this race to become the AM champion in the 2022 Season 3 Precision Racing League Formula 3 Thursday Night Championship. So Tyler Campbell leads by just under 4 seconds, but I think it's fair to say now, Lorenzo, Campbell is in cruise mode.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Comfortable with the car, found the strides, found the track usage around it. So the only thing he can do is just put the car on track and finish it strong this season. I think this is going to be the first win of the season for him. Well earned.
To be fair, it is, well, only the second win, not from a person named Conor Wagner. It will be the second win from the second win from a team that is not hardpoint by Delta Sport. Their competitors delighted that they are allowed the opportunity to race for the victory today. Chablis off the track at turn 3 as the 14's woes continue. Now behind him will be Nick McLaughlin. Pro versus Am driver. Good way to finish off the season as McLaughlin goes on the hunt now.
Yeah, he is hungry. I think he's going to go for that overtake if he finds a spot.
Well, doesn't matter. In front of him, Chablis loops it by himself. What do they say on Twitch? Freebie.
Freebies.
Freebies to the 62. Chablis loops it by himself. Battle for 5th on track, but between two cars in separate classes, down to 0.8 of a second as Joey Tebbins, number 60, starts to come under pressure from the 68 of Michael Overbay.
And Overbay having a solid race so far. It's been kind of like a long time coming for C Overbay within those top 5 results. Has been, I think, the closest he has got has been in the Zolder round, and also in the. He kind of was looking for it as well in Spa, but actually had a crash at Spa. So it's good to see that him actually getting a good result here for once and into the top 5 of the season.
Adam McDonald has lost it at the top of the hill at turn 2. Now Ryan Puchel has rolled back down to pit lane. Not sure what this is about. Crucially, back out on track.
Pit stop. Mandatory pit stop looks like.
Oh, because he would have disconnected before the pit stop. But
Yep.
I don't think there's a mandatory pit stop. I just think that there's a 50% fuel tank. Which means that when he towed, surely his fuel tank would have been filled up before they were allowed to release him back out onto track.
That makes sense.
It's academic. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. But now I'm curious. Now I want to know. What a fantastic facility this is. As I mentioned slightly earlier, Dr. Don Panos, when he went over to Le Mans in the mid-1990s, little did he know the legacy he would leave behind with the events that is anything but petite anymore. Petit Le Mans sees hundreds of thousands swarm to Brazelton, Georgia, for a celebration of sports car racing. It is the final round of the Michelin Endurance Cup for the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. What a fantastic race it is, and got a touch up on iRacing recently as well. Looking fantastic here in the virtual world. Overbay not even availing himself of the draft. Don't think he expects Tebbin to fight too hard, and indeed, as they work into the chicane, Overbay nice and easily works his way forward, albeit not passing for class position.
Yeah, easy come, easy go for Overbay, and now Tevin just can ride easily into the sunset and just be done with this race and grab a back-to-back win. I think for the AAM class, I think he would be the first back-to-back winner in the season.
He might end up as a pro driver next season. I'm campaigning for that.
No, I would be. Well, he has experience in the Indy cars, and
exactly.
Now he gets.
So let's see what happened then to Adam McDonald as he worked into turn 3. That is a bizarre one. Not sure if he was still struggling with the fundamental handling of his car after the issue, but we could jump on board and just clips the grass on entry, and it was just too shallow a line taken from him as he tried to work into the corner.
Yeah, I completely misjudged the entry at the corner right there, and then the rest is history.
So we still see Santana trying to chase down Lung in 7th and 8th overall, respectively. 6th and 7th, of course, in class. Has separated out the fields. 22 started, 16 running, just 14 left on this leading lap. What a fun season it's been, of course. Championship week, of course, as it's a week of coronations, and we'll close it off with the Precision Racing League NASCAR Cup Series this coming Sunday for what has been an exhilarating first season of Precision Racing League action on RaceSpotTV and on VCO Esports. Always interested with the Precision Racing League in their previous lifetime on the Global Sim Racing channel. Been delighted that we've been able to take over the helm, and it's great. They've got A series for everyone, Lorenzo, whether you're an open wheel fan, GT3 fan, Miata, NASCAR, even within NASCAR Cup and Truck Series competitions, a little bit of everything, and keeps us busy at RaceSpot with basically a broadcast almost every day of the week.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's for not only is for everybody's taste, but it's for everybody's affordability, right? It's if you're a pro, you want guys like Hardpoint by Delta Sport, guys that drive in top split and official F3 events. We've seen in other championships as well throughout iRacing. It has guys with a high I rating, so you can compete against them, grab experience from them. So having this range of skills and experiences in the service is what makes this championship really nice for you to drive on, regardless of what kind of competition that you go in.
Fun little community as well, so that's always exciting, especially in a series so big when you have the 8 competitions or something that we have, 7 I think it is. So many drivers compete in one, but there are many that compete in several. Then you've got the likes of Joey Tebben, commentates on I think 3 of them at this point, and then races on Thursday night in this Formula 3 series. 4 minutes left in the race, and that means that for a couple of drivers, a couple more laps before they will close out this season. We'll cap it off on top for Tyler Campbell, fastest in practice, 2nd in qualifying, but only 200ths behind the pole position time. He grabbed the lead of the race and has not looked back since then.
Yeah, I think the only downside for Campbell, I think, might be maybe the absence of hardpoint by Delta Sport to try to see if I wouldn't say proper competition, or see if he could actually try to keep up with them or something like that, because we've seen Petrie fighting against the Conor Wagner, Rock Leonard, and David Holland. So Campbell was also in the fighting on a few rounds like Rebel Ring, so it would have been a really good fight, especially in this round. And my second complaint here, Arjuna, is the crowd doesn't look too excited for his potential win.
Yeah, and I think we know that he's a Ferrari fan, so maybe they're just expecting the strategist to call him into pit lane with 2 minutes left to go in this race.
Or the car blows up right in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, no, but the pit strategy thing is more Ferrari for going, back over the years. I feel like the engine thing is spectacular. Don't get me wrong, but Ferrari.
But it's also a Ferrari thing. It happens to Ferraris, even if it isn't the race car.
No,
the
but
normal cars need to
it
explode.
happens to everyone as the white flag flies with 2 minutes left to go. At least indicated 2 minutes left to go. Not sure if we've been slightly tricked here. This is the final lap of the season. Tyler Campbell, about 2 miles away from signing off with a checkered flag to his name.
Nice to see, and seeing the number 37 winning up a race is very satisfactory, as Tebben opens up the final lap as well.
For your AM class leader, it's the same situation. He'll wind up for 2.5 miles at this Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta, in the Atomic Racing Proton machine to become the first, at least according to Lorenzo Bonder, back-to-back winner of this 2022 Season 3 campaign. For Tebben, disqualified in round 2, either side of did not finish in rounds 1 and 3. Could have been a lot more, but 4 top 5s along the road as well. What a season it's been for so many of these drivers, and while it is a coronation day for Conor Wagner, with him stepping aside, it let the spotlight shine on someone new, as for the first time this season, Tyler Campbell is a winner. He conquers the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta and wins on a Thursday night in the Precision Racing League Formula 3 season. Behind him, Caleb Petrie will come across the line in 2nd, Kevin Sandiego in 3rd, while we wait for Joey Tebben to go back-to-back in the AM class. What a season it's been. What a championship we have witnessed, and we'll get a few weeks off, Lorenzo, but we'll be right back. We'll boogie in a couple of weeks' time for Season 4 of 2022.
Oh yeah, they deserve that break, and soon we're going to be coming back with more championships here on RaceSpotTV, and this F3 really good competition, and I would be honest, if I could compete, I would have, but now being in Europe makes it a little bit more difficult for me, but great racing nevertheless.
And for Ryan Puchel, the act of finishing will see him be crowned the AM class champion, at least according to the crude commentator's math. What do we say though? Never trust a commentator's math. We will get confirmation hopefully before we sign off at the end of the night. A couple of cars fighting to the line as Peter Newhook and Ross Cato battle, separated by under 0.2 of a second at the very dying depths of this race. 31 laps in the books after another 40 minutes of racing. What a way to sign off for the debut season of the Precision Racing League Formula 3 on RaceSpotTV. For the final time then, let's wind you down through your race results as Tyler Campbell even, of Team Watson Racing is a winner for the first time in the 10 weeks of Season 3. Caleb Petrie put it on pole position, unable to convert, lighting up the rear tires off the line. He dropped to 6th, was able to fight back to 2nd. He will settle though for the 2nd step of the podium with Kevin Sandiego looping it on the exit of turn 7. The 88 car rounds out the podium. Justin Egret in 4th in front of Michael Overbay for the TQE by Precision Racing Esports number 68. Joey Tebbin in the Atomic Racing Proton number 60 takes victory number 2 of the season in the AM class today. Leo Lung for the Finale Racing number 7 in 7th with a 666 of Kevin Santana in 8th. Brian Lowe, Takeshi Kita round out the top 10. Kita gets onto the podium to round out his AM season. Unfortunately, with Puchel's finish, should not be enough to secure him the championship. McLaughlin in front of Newhook Cato, and then Shabili in the pro class had a bit of a torrid day, it's fair to say. McDonald 2 laps down, Puchel 4 laps down after a technical issue saw him disconnect and have to persevere to finish this one 4 laps down. Manuel Vargas, Richard Swindell's, Lucio Vargas, Guilherme Potvin, the top 20, bookending the field. There'll be Steve Giori and Brad Miller for TQ Engineering. Lorenzo Bonder will correct himself. Joey Tebbin not the only back-to-back winner. He joins Turner Scroll as back-to-back winners in the AM class. What a season it was though, what a fun 10 rounds of the championship. Lorenzo, of course, this Formula 3 car puts on a show no matter how many drivers, where you put the drivers, it always delivers a show.
It always delivers a show. It's always close racing, and you always try to find the bad setups and everything. So it's the perfect car for you to learn open wheel racing. Is that mid-tier, not too powerful, but not doesn't have a lot of downforce like an F1 car does, like the W12. So if you want to join in the fun, pick an F3.
Well, let's not dawdle. Let's dive into post-race coverage and let's round off our season as the sun sets, not just on the season, but at the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Let's drag in Tyler Campbell, who's victorious to close off this 2022 Season 3. Tyler, talk to us about that race. 2nd in qualifying, but by the slimmest of margins, got the lead at the start and did not look back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was really intense. It obviously never looks tense when there's not side-by-side battling, but you know, having someone breathing down your neck pretty much all race is pretty intense. I felt bad for Caleb, but I was going to take it and just run with it. So yeah, super happy with it. Unfortunately, I was going for the last lap on the fastest lap on the last lap. Didn't get that, and Caleb stole my qualifying point. So I guess I'll just have to take the race win and live with it. But I would have liked to have done the Triple Crown.
You'll emerge from the championship 3rd in the Pro Drivers' Championship. Of course, a couple of weeks off. What are you going to do in this downtime before we grid up and we go again for Season 4 in just a couple of weeks' time?
You know what? Honestly, not sure. I'm definitely going to take a week off. I probably won't touch iRacing again next week. But we'll see. Other than that, just making building some setups for next season for Team Watson Racing setups. I mean, there's great guys over there, so you can go check out the website teamwatsonracingsetups.com. Yeah, other than that, I just got a job, so gonna be working and also not working in here. So yeah.
Congratulations. One final question before we let you go to celebrate this victory. We'll let you put the pressure onto the PRL admins. If you had to nominate one track for next season, I know it's not how it works, but we'll put the pressure on them. Where would you love to see us go with this amazing Formula 3 car?
I'm not gonna lie, I love Road Atlanta. It's been too long since I've driven it, and it's a challenging track. But I don't know, it's so much fun. It's so hard to be consistent, but for some reason, I just find myself loving it. Just turn one, just sitting it in, and just letting the car grip is amazing. Coming down the blind hill, you know, there's so many blind corners, and it's weird that I would like that, but just the camber is just right. Something about it. I'd love to see Road Atlanta again on the schedule. Again, that's kind of biased because I just won Road Atlanta, but you know, I can't argue with it. It's a good track, and so yeah.
Hey, anyone who's experienced the roller coaster of Road Atlanta knows how tough a race that was. Congratulations on surviving. We'll see you next season. Walking away with the victory, Tyler Campbell.
Let me open this around all of my electronics first. It's some sparkling water, so you know I'll celebrate a little bit. It's no maple syrup, but I'll shake it up a little bit.
Tyler Campbell in victory lane to close off Season 3 of 2022. Let's jump on down to the second back-to-back winner in 2022 Season 3. Let's talk to RaceSpot's own Joseph Tebben. Joey, great in qualifying, started the race well, and then you decided not to fight. Why did you disappoint us up here in the commentary booth?
Because we're in two different races. There's no reason to fight. I mean, I listened to the broadcast last week. I heard what Lorenzo said about, you know, AMs don't always finish on the podium, but I mean, as you saw over the course of the next 30 laps, I wasn't going to be on the podium either way, so I could not care less. I let everybody go by. I didn't want to get taken out by a pro. That was smart, evidently, and I got the win. And also, all of my opponents kind of wiped themselves out. I feel like I have to specify that. Ryan Pucktel, he was with me. I was pulling away from him, but that was before my tires went off. And at the end of the race, I was hemorrhaging time. I think Pucktel might have caught me, and old Nick McLaughlin, I think he hit the wall in turn 1 and had damage all night. So my opponents wiped themselves out, but my luck has evened out, though, because the 2 of the first 3 races this season, I got taken out by stalled cars on the grid, so I consider that even.
To be fair, there was a lot of chaos behind you, I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed my first experience of the Precision Racing League up here in the commentary booth. What's the plan for next season? Of course, we'll see you here in the booth for several of the PRL series. We see you back for the F3s for Season 4 in just a few weeks' time.
Well, my hope is that I will be on the broadcast side for the F3 series next season. I don't have plans to return to race, which is unfortunate because somehow I've found my form in my last 2 races in F3, but I should say why. I've gotten help for the first time ever in the last 3 seasons. I talked about this last week. For the first 8 races this season, I thought I could just hop in, do, 2 or 2.5 hours practice on my own. That would be fine. It was not. But for the last 2 races, I got help from Mitch Welker. We did a couple hours of practice, Montreal and Road Atlanta, got me comfortable, and again, no coincidence that these are the 2 first races that I win. But I don't think I have time to do that on a permanent basis. It takes a lot of work to race with these people in the PRL. I can't just hop in and win. I need a lot of help, and unfortunately, I don't think I have the time to consistently do that for 10 weeks.
Well, if you butter me up enough, we'll throw you on F3s next season. I might steal it away from you, though. No guarantees. Congratulations on the win to close out the season, Joey. Looking forward to seeing you around for many more PRL broadcasts in the future.
Thank you, Arjuna, and shout out to Atomic Racing, James, Takeshi, Steven, Max, Robert, Colin, Kenny, everybody else in the server. They've been great for the last 2 seasons. Goodbye.
You got the shout-outs in there. Joey Tebben walks away a winner to close off his run in the Precision Racing League Formula 3 Series. Let's jump over, though, to Takeshi Kita. And Takeshi, you're going to have to help us because by our very crude mathematics, we think you finished second. Can you enlighten us to what the situation is?
Yeah, well, I think the championship was lost for me the last week. To win today, I would have to. Brian would have to explode on the first lap or something like that for me to win. So that's okay. I'm really happy with the second place. It is my best result ever on a championship. So I'm quite happy with it.
Did you get a moment of excitement when you saw Ryan's name dropping down the order after he disconnected from the server? There must have been a moment where you're like, okay, this still could happen.
I definitely noticed.
as we move forward then to Season 4, are you going to be back? What's the plans for the next season of Precision Racing League? Formula 3 still, or are you thinking about trying out something different that PRL has to offer?
The F4 was luring me, but I'll be back for F3. It's my favorite car, and I would like to keep driving it for another couple of seasons.
Well, we're looking forward at RaceSpotTV to seeing you on the grid for Season 4 of 2022. Congratulations on another podium to close off what has been a very successful season. Takeshi, we'll see you in just a couple of weeks' time.
See you guys.
As always, delighted that the drivers give us their time to give us their thoughts as well. But Lorenzo, we're ready to close off the season for the Precision Racing League 2022 Season 3 Formula 3 Thursday Night Championship. And what a roller coaster it's been. Ending, of course, here at Road Atlanta, but starting with 2 races in Japan and then crisscrossing around the world to some of the greatest tracks that motorsport that iRacing has to offer, and 2 very worthy champions find themselves walking away on top.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We started with a very contested pro season of what could have been a David Holland versus Conor Wagner fight, but then again, Conor Wagner dominated basically every single round of the championship, never looked back except for one round where David won. And then in the AM class, it was kind of like going as a roller coaster. We had Turner Schroe at one point, then Takeshi Kita one another point, then you have Patel and other contenders. So this roller coaster of actions in the AM class was very exciting, and I cannot wait for the next season, which I think is going to be just as contested, in my opinion, as this one was.
And of course, we'll have plenty of coverage next season on RaceSpotTV. It's been great to have the Precision Racing League as part of our weekly slate. It's been busy. It's kept the likes of Hugo Luis very, very busy. But of course, still one more series left to crown its champion. Join us this Sunday for the final round of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Cup Series, as Ewan O'Leary and I believe Taylor Burris will walk you through all the action as we finish things up at the World Center of Racing, the Daytona International Speedway. Lorenzo, final thoughts from you, though, as we say goodbye. I cannot wait, hopefully, to be on one of these broadcasts full-time for Season 4, building in a couple of weeks' time, but what a roller coaster it's been. You've been a part of the last final rounds.
Yeah, I've been a part of these final rounds, and I love F3s. I love covering F3s, and hope I can come back and make a special appearance next season, whether commentating or racing. But it's going to be a very entertaining season, and I cannot wait what the NASCAR cars are going to do now at Daytona.
I fear for your competitors if you end up on the track. But what a season it has been for Conor Wagner, for Ryan Puchel, worthy champions in this 2022 Season 3 of the Precision Racing League Thursday Night Formula 3 season. On behalf of the team at RaceSpotTV, a delight to have your company on this roller coaster that has been the first season of the PRL on RaceSpotTV. We'll start it all in a couple of weeks again, but of course, remember to join us this coming Sunday for the final round from Daytona. It's sure to be spectacular. For Lorenzo Bonder, for the team at RaceSpotTV, for myself, Arjuna Kankipati, we bid you farewell for now, but we congratulate the likes of Conor Wagner, Ryan Puchel, as well as Tyler Campbell and Joey Tebbin, celebrating as we bookend what has been a spectacular 2022 Season 3 in the Precision Racing League Formula 3 Championship. We'll see you next season. For now, so long and goodbye.